It is my great pleasure to present our paper, A Multidisciplinary Literature Review and Framework for AI-Assisted Policymaking at Data and Policy Conference 2022. This paper studied the use of AI during the process of policymaking, namely AI-assisted policymaking. We first presented a multidisciplinary literature review that explored related important concepts and theories. We then systematized and integrated existing research to propose a conceptual framework that not only consider the complex socio-technical context of AIPM with the unique risks, limitation, and opportunity in the public sector, but also the technical capability and constraints of AI systems. This paper identified important variables and their relationships that influence good empirical practice in AIPM from diverse disciplines, as well as specific direction for our future research. Let me just give you some research background of this paper. There is an increasing use of AI in government. For instance, AI systems have been developed to predict the impact of different lockdown scenarios on COVID-19 cases, such as reopening of schools, public transport, and lifting restrictions on gathering, informing the lockdown policy formulation with a specific predicted case number. However, governmental use of AI also face risk of inequality, distrust, and blurry accountability. One example is the AI model used by the UK government to predict student performance as the A-level exam replacement. The model systematically estimated that students from minority or low-income communities have lower grades than their historical grades, making these students less likely to get into prestigious universities. Against these backgrounds, this paper studies AIPM, and there are many reasons why the study of AIPM is of great interest. Firstly, prior work have reached a consensus that AI in the public sector must be characterized distinctly. Secondly, while the scholarship and research of governmental use of AI primarily focus on related innovation in public sector under the heading of e-governance, very little attention has been made to the benefits and challenges AI could bring to the process of making policy. Finally, during the process of AIPM, AI systems are situated in a complex environment where AI interplays with political dynamics, competing values, and interpersonal preference. AIPM falls into an interdisciplinary research space where researchers in many domains, including AI, public administration, and human-computer interaction, HCI, have studied the implementation of governmental AI use. However, existing research usually take different perspective, mostly in a purely technical or conceptual perspective. And therefore, there is a very little systematic and pragmatic attention to identifying the related cross-discipline research area. And that's our research motivation. While the body of research in AI, PA, and ACI sometimes interact and borrow insights from each other, knowledge gaps remain due to the disconnect in expertise, experience, and knowledge. For instance, proposing technical achievable solution and providing technical design guideline for empirical AIPM studies is not the goal or expertise of most of the PA research. On the other hand, research in the field of AI has focused on improving the performance of algorithms while ignoring the complex socio-technical context in which they are used and will have far-reaching impacts. Although the empirical study of HCI have overcome the neglect of human factor in the development of technology, by studying their interactions, how those understanding can serve as transformable knowledge for the specific form of human and computer interact, such as AAPM, remains an unanswered questions. So in this paper, we asked the following question. Regarding AAPM, what are the unique risks, limitation, and opportunity in the process of policy making, as well as the technical capability and constraints of AI system? Following the multidisciplinary literature review, we propose a framework intended to bridge knowledge and experience of the empirical implementation of AAPM across multiple disciplines. We reviewed literature from PA, AI, and HCI. While our purpose for the selection of AI and PA is clear, we also cover the HCI literature, as AAPM is essentially a human-computer collaboration problem. The paper also reflects to Miller's call to rethink how human and machine need to work together to enhance and improve each other's capability in the context of AAPM. Due to the time limit, I will only highlight the main takeaways from our literature review. Our review of PA literature provides contextual information on the use of AI in the public sector, revealing the motivation, challenges, complexity, and existing theories for implementing AI predictive analysis in the policymaking process. And we identify the significance of different stakeholders in AAPM, AI culture and capability within the cooperating organization, and the inherent complexity of policymaking, and all of which are considered accordingly in the framework. Furthermore, our discussion of the deviation between AI outcomes and the traditional evidence used for policymaking makes it necessary to discuss how AI outcome should be presented, and this is tightly related to our exploration of XAI and HCI literature, as well as our later discussion about presentation and communication of AI results. Our review of AI literature emphasized that it is very important not to overlook AI risk in AAPM, and human involvement is key to better manage the use of AI and prevent the harm it causes. However, the black box nature of AI prevents humans from understanding how AI reach certain decisions, which hinder such cooperation. And there is an expanding need for XAI within government. However, many existing approaches have taken an algorithm-centered approach that does not take into account the specific need of non-technical end user. It is necessary to apply a user-centered approach to consider different needs of diverse stakeholders in AAPM. Recognizing the lack of attention of XAI research to the different stakeholders, many recent XAI researchers applied HCI empirical studies to understand to whom the explanation is for, which is the goal of the XAI explanation, and what are the type of explanations. Many related research advocated that visualization of certain AI prediction has been considered an effective way to meet the needs and expectations of domain experts and lay user. I will further discuss how visualization can help the implementation of AAPM and communication between AI developer and policymaker in the following framework. So in our proposed framework, we analyzed the critical factor that significantly influence AAPM from a technical and human interaction perspective, where unique characteristics from both public sector and AI system are considered, to better organize and displace this variable in order to have an impact on the actual AAPM application. This framework takes the form of general considerations of environment and process. I will walk you through this framework. We start with the environment factor. Creating the right environment for AAPM includes creating the condition in which AAPM can cooperate effectively, a culture that values digital technology and welcome effective challenges, well understood stakeholder and chain of responsibility among them, and finally, sufficient capacity to drive AAPM. We conceptualize three different stakeholders in AAPM: policymaker, policy analyst, and model experts. Although there are other relevant stakeholders, we only explicitly consider these three stakeholders in our framework for simplicity. Secondly, recognizing the benefits of AI culture and capability has important implementation for the study of AAPM. Firstly, public organizations need to develop a culture and capacity that enable them to appreciate value generated from AI projects. In addition, the AI expert who cooperate with organization as external experts could examine whether an AI solution is appropriate within the organizational context from the lens of AI culture and capability. We now move to the process factor now. An effective process includes ongoing engagement between policy analyst, policymaker, and AI expert to ensure a shared understanding of the purpose and limitation of AI system. This requires a thorough analysis of the given policy problem and the appropriate format for presenting and communicating the result generated by AI system to policymaker. And I want to emphasize the benefits of visualization we proposed in this framework. Firstly, we argue that different stakeholders involved in the policymaking process can benefit from visualization. With an easy-to-comprehend visual interface, the complexity of AI system can be hidden in the computational backend, while the screen shares the information which is only necessary to give user input and to understand the output of the model. With the reduced complexity, the communication between different stakeholders will be facilitated, which allows the discussion between different stakeholders based on the same visually presented information. With easy access to analysis results from AI systems through visualization, the AI expert can present and explain the functionality and the result of AI system to policy analysts. The visualization offers the flexibility to policy analysts in interacting with the system and focusing on the factor they care about the most, therefore helping them further refine and validate the system from the domain perspective. In addition, policymakers can provide guidance on missing information and refinement from a higher level perspective. Secondly, there is new concern have been raised as AI designers are granted power over decision previously made by public servant. It raises issues not just in terms of ethical responsibility and legal liability. Who is accountable for causing harms to a citizen if the decision is made by an AI system? But also in terms of the more fundamental questions of political accountability in government. And we argue that visualization may also play a helpful role in this controversial shift in discretionary power happened when humans start to take advice from AI. Once policymakers have been presented the visualization that show them the important parameter and logic behind AI decision, it is up to them to determine whether or not to implement this decision, leaving them accountable for the behavior and possible consequences of machine decision. And we think the contribution of this framework are from three perspectives. Firstly, it focuses on the operational level of AI use in government, namely policy-making process. It considers the technical viable space of AI, such as the unresolved issue around its black box nature and the neglect some key stakeholder of AAPM. Finally, it takes a user-centered approach to understanding human factor influencing AAPM and propose visualization as a tool for communication. And in our paper, we also provide guidance to use this framework. As our expertise is more in data science and information visualization, we focus on how to use this framework as AI developer. You can find more information in our paper. To sum up, from the framework, we know that to improve the environmental factor of AIPM, we have to take a long-term interest and cannot be achieved in the short run by individual researchers. Therefore, in our future research, we will take a closer look at process factor, especially how visual explanation can be used in AIPM. That's all for the presentation. Thank you for listening.